Poor folks here, you poor, hard-working people, you've made it possible for us to pay cash as we go along. And it's the blessings of God bestowed upon you, and I have taken care of your money right, and I'm not ashamed to stand before you and say I'm handling it right and taking care of it. And I want all the ministers to trust me. You've seen me tried. You've seen me tested. You watch me here. And you know that I've handled God's finance right and treated everybody right. And I haven't had to go in debt for anything so far. It almost insulted me here a while back. I went in the store to buy something. And the girl at the register said, "Charge it?" I said, "No, cash all the way." She said, you don't have an account with us?" Said, "Take one of those applications there." I said, "No, thanks." I said, "I've been on the cash basis now for around 50 years. And I said, it's too late for me to start getting credit now. And so I advise every one of you, throw away your plastic money. Just use it when you have to, when you just have to, but hurry up and get out of debt, because we don't want to be caught away in the bride and have some merchant or some real estate man or some automobile dealer saying, "There goes my money. There goes that guy that owes me for that car. There goes that guy that owes me for that house over there and that grocery bill." We don't want them to have to look up there and see them flying away with Christ and say, "There goes the money they borrowed from me." But we want to have it said like the old poem of the village blacksmith. He looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. If the village blacksmith worked hard hammering those in his old blacksmith shop to keep above the wolf at his door, then it wouldn't hurt us to be a little more conservative and not spend so freely, and live a little cheaper than what we have, so that we can pay everybody off and walk down the street and know that nobody can look at you and say, "He owes me any money," or "She owes me any money," or I owe any money at that bank over there. We want to have that said, and I'm going to pray that God will let everybody in this body get out of debt, have a new car, a nice home, good clothes, eating plenty, and still be out of debt all the way around, and let you enjoy the freedom, the victory, and the blessings of God on your life, that you have just as good of things and as vital necessities as in abundance as much as anybody, and never have to lie, never have to cheat, never have to go in debt at all. I want to see this body rise above all of that and enjoy the freedom and blessings and liberty and the blessed feeling that comes with knowing that you owe no man anything. The 13th chapter of Romans, if you want to read it, said, "Owe no man anything." And anything, I want you to underline that word, anything. That's an apology, or ask someone to forgive you, or to take something back you borrowed, or to go pay that old debt you owe some saint, and come clean with everybody. Owe no man anything. Don't you owe this town. Paul said, "I'm a debtor to the Greek and to the Jew, to the Gentile. I'm a debtor to the ignorant people and the heathen. I'm in debt to the people, the Christian people in the churches." He says, "I'm in debt to them to preach the gospel to them, insomuch as lies within me wherever God calls me." And so he paid his debt off. And when he came down to when he's about 70 years old and had been in the ministry around 35 years, he came down to the place where he said, "Now I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. And I finished what the Lord sent me to do." He said, "Now I'm ready to be offered up." When he said offered up, he meant go up too. When the resurrection takes place, I'm ready to be offered up. And he could look the world in the face and say, "I preached the gospel to kings, like God called me way back there on the road to Damascus and told me I'd preach to kings." So I preached to King Agrippa, I preached to Herod, I preached to kings over there. And then I went and knocked on doors of peasants up and down the highways in the little towns and villages, and then went to the big populous cities over there and contended with the philosophers in Greece and Rome. And then here he is knocking on the door of a peasant over there and going in and sitting down with them, enjoying what he could with them, giving them the gospel. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not very far behind Paul when it comes to that. But of course, I haven't preached to any kings yet. But I'm not dead yet. The Lord could give me a message yet to go to some of these 24 kings that still lives on the face of the earth. Armstrong's still going strong. Armstrong still going strong at 92. And so if the Lord wants me to visit Japan and preach to the emperor and carry the gospel to them, the Lord can renew my strength and let me live long enough to go right in behind Paul and take the same steps he took before I go off the scene. And I know this, if it happens, bless your hearts, you'll be with me, with your spirit, your finance, and everything that you've got, because you always have stood with me. All right, now there's $9,350 that was made by the saints when Brother Bob James took up the offerings, and people raised their hand and pledged and signed pledge cards. Now maybe you forgot that you made a pledge over there at the last meeting, and it's just slipped your mind completely. So I'll ask Sister Dorothy next time I see to give me a list of names, individuals that she knows that hasn't paid. But here she's just given it to me in a sum of $9,350. So think while I'm talking right now, did you make a pledge and you forgot it and haven't paid it over there? You ask your saints that in your assemblies too, if they made a pledge, and we want to pay this $9,350 off. And then here's an assembly that still owes $2,000, and another assembly owes $500 that hasn't been paid yet. So if you want to know which church that is, you fellows ask me, and if you, I'll not announce it here, but if you guess it, well, I'll tell you, yes, it's your church that owes that. But otherwise, of course, I'll just keep it quiet, and we'll depend on these people to have their memory jogged to pay off these debts here. And then here's our report here in Eldorado. 84 people, that's real nice, that's real good, have pledged $26,740. That is excellent for a little town like this. However, this is a big assembly, but it's in a small town, and some of you are struggling to make a living around here. So one woman said, when I can't give of my pension, she said, I'll give of my pinching. And so you folks that are just barely, your pension's just barely paying your bills, maybe you can give a pinch now and then. And we put that all together. And then there's a balance, unpaid balance of $2,697. Now look, up until July the 1st, you wasn't in debt at all. You were paying. But now from July the 1st till now, you folks are in debt. But as long as the fellow's paying his payments, he's not in debt. But when you quit paying your payments, then you go in debt. So you folks are in debt here, $2,697. So please make that up as fast as you can. Then 11 people have already pledged. We haven't even taken the pledges. Brother Lester hasn't even presented it yet, but just willingly. You know, I just love that. The Bible speaks when they built the tabernacle and built the temple, it said they willingly gave to the Lord. And so I like these people that give willingly. And here is 11 people have already pledged $3,875 to be paid by January the 1st, 1986. Think of that. We're still here in Eldorado having church and still paying our pledges and shouting the victory here. And we're looking forward to having you, the rest of you, to make a pledge to be paid in January 1986. So keep on volunteering here. You ushers, bring the pledge cards with you and see that everybody gets a pledge card, and you pray over it and think it over and decide how much you want to give in the next 6 months in these pledges that we take from time to time. The Lord told me to do this. Honest to goodness, the Lord told me to do it. That big church there that we bought on Kings Highway in St. Louis, and they stuck a price on it of $190,000. There we were way down in South St. Louis in a little building that wasn't worth, but we got a tremendous price out of it, $37,000. And the man that bought it from us had to sell it for $18,000. And so we'd had to take $18,000 if we'd stayed there just a few more months. But we got a pretty good price out of it, and yet we tackled a job of paying off $190,000. And I was worried about it. I didn't want I even took out an insurance policy to cover, if I died, that would cover that, so it would be paid off and the saints wouldn't have to pay that. And so I was praying about it, thinking, Lord, how will we get this much money out of this little crowd of people? Well, it was a pretty good sized crowd. There were around 600 people there when I took the church over. But you know, the Lord provided for that, and we paid that off in 3 years, and we saved $45,000 in interest. If we'd have kept that loan and just paid on it year after year for 20 years, we cut it down to 3 years, and we saved $45,000 in interest. What